This bust behind me almost never happened.
I think there is a good deal of fraud going on.
I want to tell you the story today of how my client got ripped off.
This bus is like nearly a total loss. I freaking hate to see this. This is insane.
And somehow this all came back in the end to turn this into one of the more beautiful tiny houses on wheels you'll ever see. Let's see how tragedy was turned into a masterpiece. Follow me.
Looking at this bus now, you never guessed the nightmare it started as. But when I first showed up, the red flags were immediate. I walked into spray foam all over the windows and parts of the bathroom, but the worst part was the mold that I found on one of the wall panels, which prompted me then to start tearing off all the walls. And what I found wasn't just bad craftsmanship, it was straight up dangerous.
No idea what this wire is. Just tucked right back here. Mold, tons of mold. All of this will have to be reframed.
We have to rewire too, so. And so far they've paid over $50,000 in labor
For that.
But how does something like this even happen?
my client, like most of you watching, were interested in bus and van life, but all the things that it can offer, taking your tiny home with you everywhere you go, all the adventures that you can get up to, and the amazing community that surrounds this. And because those things are true, van and bus life absolutely exploded in the past few years, which then unfortunately led to random people slapping together custom builds that looked good on Instagram, but were in fact rolling death traps.
Old buses into mobile homes is becoming a big business, and over the past 5 months, the defenders have found customer after customer who say they hired a local bus conversion business who they claim took them for a ride.
His biggest concern, the number of electrical hazards he discovered, some of them potentially deadly.
And that's exactly what I found when I showed up to a lot of 10 plus buses showcasing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of broken promises in the form of poorly built and at most times dangerous Skoolie builds.
Water damage, mold. You can smell it in here. The final bus will probably look fine, honestly. It'll look Instagram worthy, and nobody will know just how bad it is right underneath the wood flooring until a year or two down the road.
But behind every one of those builds, I saw people. Ordinary people who had lost their life savings to a con man. So over the next 7 months, it became my mission to tear out every inch of their work and in its place, build my client the dream home that they envisioned and deserved. Where there was once mold, dangerous electrical, and little hope of the job ever getting done, I, with the help of some of my amazing friends, turned it into one of the most beautiful tiny homes you'll ever see. While we could keep focusing on everything that went wrong, I'd love to show you what ended up going right. So let's do an in-depth tour of this rig, starting with our kitchen.
Plywood was a main material throughout this build, and you'll see it featured all over the place. Up top, we've got a pretty standard porcelain countertop. Porcelain because of the cooktop that we use, which I know what you're saying, you don't see a cooktop. That doesn't mean that there isn't one, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. You're gonna wanna see that. For the most part, everything's pretty basic. Plenty of storage for all of your seashells, cups, rocks, kind of whatever you're into. Up top here, we have these really cool custom cabinets.
And all these cabinets were an incredible collaboration with Kelson J. Across from that, we have one of our 2 mini splits with a custom cover.
I don't really like the look of these mini split head units. I feel like they're really intrusive and they kind of break up the designs. Here, let me put you down here a little bit. You getting tired of seeing these yet? No, you're not, because they're incredible. You're not gonna survive in Antarctica or Alaska, but these things, they really up your cozy level by 100. Down here we have storage for wood, and underneath that we have a diesel heater. And we have another one in the back, because really when you have a bus this big, you need 2 diesel heaters. That's my recommendation. I don't know, what do I know?
Behind the wood stove, we have our massive fridge freezer, and right next to that, we have our custom plywood pantry.
Behind me here, you can see this absolutely incredible door. Again, I'm gonna give props to Brad, just a fantastic builder. He built this from scratch. You won't see other doors like this because they are one of a kind.
And if you want to see what's behind that door, you're gonna have to stick around. But I do think this is the perfect time to finally uncover where our hidden cooktop is.
So there's an induction cooktop underneath this countertop.
Using a product called InvisiCook.
It'll cook right through this material. Totally safe for your material. Totally safe to touch near it. Unreal. Did not know that that was a thing. One of the coolest features of this bus, bar none.
And because I prioritize lighting in my builds, I put it pretty much everywhere that I could.
Including under our shelves, but I want you to be able to choose when and where you want it. We have a couple different ways to do that. Number one, we have these controller pads here that give you a lot of control on which lights you want to run, and you can then change all of your colors. Super cool feature, right? Hit white and it's right back to white.
I also added these incredible switches for the cabinet lighting. You literally use the wood as the switch by tapping it.
You see that? Give it a slap and hold, and that will dim your lights. If you don't think that's cool, we cannot be friends.
Okay, let's wrap up the kitchen with two other features, which is this hidden cutting board made of plywood, and also, bet you didn't see this coming, but a washer dryer built into our cabinets.
Working our way to the other side of this living room slash kitchen area, we've got a couple cool features. Now, number one, don't pay too much attention to this wall. This is gonna be a feature wall that my client still hasn't decided what we're gonna do with. It has a couple hidden doors here, which we'll show you what's behind there in a minute.
And this here, well, this is one of the coolest bus couches I think you'll ever see. Need a dining area? Just slide out that left side, move over your backrest, drop the legs, and boom, dinner is served. But what if you want to stay after dinner? No problem. Middle section does the same thing, transforming this into a full bed in seconds. How about that?
This has one of the largest battery banks that I know of in a bus.
Featuring a whopping 8 server rack batteries. More than enough to keep you off grid for as long as you want.
Over here, we've got all of our electrical components. And same thing, the lights all come on when they open.
But this awesome electrical system that you see installed here was not what was supposed to be installed originally. And that's because my clients got ripped off more than just bad labor. They also got ripped off tens of thousands of dollars of components that they paid for but never got. When I first showed up and I asked to see all the components, that's when the builder decided to let me know that they had been stolen just the day before. So I went to check for myself. I walked to the storage unit expecting to find at least some sign that things had gone missing. But when I asked the front desk if a theft had actually been reported, well, let's just say the answer wasn't surprising.
Oh, you did a police report, right? The police were here just right before I got here. Okay, that's what I thought.
Absolutely lying about everything. Which ultimately was for the best because they got this set up instead of whatever dangerous monstrosity he would have come up with.
To pair up with that system, we are working with 2,400 watts of solar. If you're gonna be doing bus life and you wanna be full-time able to like run AC during the day, you wanna run a larger fridge, pack as many panels on your roof as you can. Let's go see what we've got hiding in the back here. All right, I better take off this jacket because things are finally heating up. We're in the bedroom. Why don't we get comfortable? Because there are some really cool things to see here. Let's take a look around.
Welcome to the bedroom. The Japandi theme continues here, featuring the same ambient light bar we've seen throughout the bus, as well as another mini split unit with a matching custom cover. Every detail in this space is completely one of a kind. That includes this handcrafted Japandi style wardrobe, complete with soft closed drawers, and a built-in work nook on the side. Storage was a top priority, so we packed it in wherever we could. Upper shelves, bedside compartments, and then even maximized storage under the bed. Featuring a massive slide-out drawer, custom designed for my client's specific needs, and a water system which includes a 125-gallon freshwater tank, along with a dedicated shutoff manifold for each appliance and fixture in the bus. For the first few months of this build, I spent more time uncovering problems and tearing them out than actually building. Every time I pulled something back, I found another disaster waiting for me.
I should be moving forward with cabinets, but instead we're still dealing with shoddy work.
One thing we managed to keep, the bathroom. Turns out it was the only part of the build that was actually built by a professional that, of course, they subcontracted. But even that came with its own set of problems. The original subfloor from the 80s was still in place, and to the surprise of no one, was completely rotted. So I had to completely jack up the shower, hold it in place, and carefully cut out and replace the floor beneath. Basically a game of Jenga where losing means weeks of setbacks and thousands in repairs. Featuring a full tile surround, an airhead composting toilet, a Nevia shower head, custom mahogany vanity, and a cedar ceiling that smells like a high-end spa. Now let's move to the front of the bus, where I've saved the coolest secret for last. It's something I've never seen in another Skoolie before, and it completely changes how this space is used. We've carried that same custom aesthetic into the driver's seat, upgrading to deluxe seats, adding handcrafted wood details throughout, and maximizing storage pretty much everywhere. Even the pup gets a spot. Up here we've also added a third AC unit, mainly designed to run while driving to keep things comfortable on long hauls, and tucked away nearby is pretty much your run-of-the-mill electrical panel. So what's this game changer that I was mentioning? Something I've not seen in any other bus, and yet it's been hiding in plain sight the whole time. This space, which normally goes unused when the bus is parked, now transforms into a fully functional drop-down workstation with the push of a button. And just like that, you've turned this little cockpit area into a pretty nice little office on wheels. I just think it's a super smart use of the space. It's the ultimate way to get the most out of every inch of this build. So from the back to the front, every inch of this build was designed with intention. It wasn't easy. Fixing the mess left behind by a bad contractor never is. And while we might have shut down this particular scam builder, these scams are still very much alive. So it is up to us, the community, to come together and help make sure that we know about these so we can shut them down. So let's use the comment section for good, to point out known scams so that people can avoid them, but also let's point out some great builders so people can connect with them as well. If you're looking for a one-of-a-kind Skoolie build, check out basicallynomads.com. If you want something built the right way, let's make it happen.